Welcome to episode 7 of the Self-Trust Frequency. Thank you so much for being here. Today, I would like to talk about how you came from source consciousness as a soul, you selected your life, and how the pain that we face in our life is there to remind us and to serve as a beacon to get us back on track. So when we selected the life that we incarnated in, we came through with our pure energy into a world with our parents, with our family, and began living our earth life. And we came with this beautiful energy, and at the same time, earth density begins to create almost like a cycle of energy, the identity and the habits and the conditioning. I almost see it like a hamster wheel in my mind. We begin to get on this cycle of learning and growth, but it feeds our neural pathways. It feeds our concept of who we are in our environment, the people around us, the thoughts we feed, our habits. They begin to cycle and get momentum on their own, and they become who we feel we are and how we operate in the world. And there can be a lot of beauty in this because our source energy, our universal chi, our soul, everything that we're animated with is part of this really beautiful personality that's forming. But it also, you can see that it's not pure source energy. It's incorporating all the limitations, all of the things that maybe don't serve us. Maybe it's not coming from our higher selves, some of our actions or behaviors, whether we're treating others not as well as we could, or maybe we're not treating or thinking about ourselves as well as we could. And so I find that often, especially in the culture I've grown up in, we cycle for quite some time this way, and it's a striving to improve our life, to educate ourselves, to make something of ourselves. And then at some point, whether, you've had it all along or it comes like a lightning bolt later in life, spirituality comes in. And it could be that you've had spirituality or religion as part of your life growing up, but it doesn't really find its way to you with truth until a certain point. So I don't need to explain to you. You can understand. It's like spirituality will hit, like a true feeling of connection there will hit people at different times in their life of like, oh my gosh, what is this? How did I not really see that this was here? And one of the things that someone who came to see me for Reiki said was that she grew up not believing anything really spiritual. She called it woo-woo, and she didn't believe in energy, and she didn't really know what, when people talked about chi or source consciousness, if anyone even did sound baths or Reiki or chakras or even meditation, she just was like, what are these people doing? This is so ridiculous. And then it was like, she began to work on her own healing journey, I think for pain, and ended up being awakened to feeling like she could feel her mind, body, spirit connection coming on board. And she just was beginning to feel more aliveness, more spirit coming through her, more energy. So she came to me for a session saying, I'm just starting to explore this. And she said, it's almost like there's half a world that exists that I never even saw, was completely invisible to me. And I've been living only thinking this half of the world exists. And I feel like that's often kind of what happens when people have a spiritual awakening. It's like, what is this? I'm thinking of Nightmare Before Christmas. What is this? So it's when he discovers Christmas. So this spirituality, when it comes into your life and starts to inform you in different ways. It's like the original source energy has reconnected, has replugged in to the source consciousness. It's been with you all along. And the thing that has been cycling this hamster wheel of earth identity is like stopped in its tracks a little bit, because it's like, well, I've been doing this, but what are you saying I'm a soul? Or what are you saying that, I'm one with the universe? Like, what is that? What does that mean? So I find that when we begin to have some sort of spiritual awakening, psychic awakening, some sort of feeling that our lives are bigger than we gave them credit for, and maybe our sense of self was limited, it's bigger than we gave ourselves credit for. This cycling 3D identity begins to feel a little small and a little tight and a little ridiculous. And you see everyone spinning on their wheels and trying to strive so hard in this earth identity. And I say that with so much compassion. It's what we actually kind of have to do here as a soul on earth. And the sense of identity that's been built over time, you can begin to get a greater perspective that it was built from reference points on earth and self-referential beliefs that built on themselves, not from who you are as a soul or what source consciousness is, your true core identity. And so spirituality has a way of giving people a dark night of the soul, because this 3D identity we've built brick by brick, painstakingly, with so much care and so much worry and so much self-investment, starts to be meaningless. And it's like, why did I build this? And that if you were to break out of that identity and associate differently, maybe you feel it would scare the people around you who are also living in their earth identities. And it starts to feel like things are breaking apart and don't make any sense. So usually this is when people seek out and get a lot of solace from mentors, people who are further along on a spiritual journey than them, whatever modalities or spiritualities or religions that are really speaking to them to guide them through it. But it's this gap, this jump between, I've just been living here operating in 3D consciousness with my ego reality, my 3D reality, trying to be a good person and trying to maximize my life, but living kind of like almost, I'm seeing it instead of blinders on, it's almost like like a ceiling on. And there's confinement in this. And that when we begin to have a spiritual awakening, or we are beginning to associate more with spirit, we realize that we can call in spirit to lead us here on earth. We don't need to have this earth identity we're clinging to. So maybe you've heard of an ego death. Maybe you've heard of this dark night of the soul. And it's when this 3D identity starts to break apart because it's not so meaningful anymore. It feels constraining, it feels limiting, but it also is something that has been built with a ceiling on. And so as you begin to feel that breaking apart, it can feel scary, because it's this feeling of, who am I without this? And that's when you are in this liminal space and you're starting to lean on spirit more. And I highly recommend doing spirit guide meditations. And really, if you're in this place and if you're going through this journey, just leaning into as much just spiritual guidance as you can, and letting it come in and feeding what has a resonance of truth for you. You don't need to have a guru who tells you what to think or feel, but you're on a path of self-discovery, because our souls come from all different places. They come with all different frequencies, even though the main frequency that source consciousness is bringing is love and oneness. But you and your gifts are gonna gravitate towards certain spiritual practices and spiritual communities. And part of this path is, I feel like, inherently has a lot of fear, because as you're walking away from the things that the identity you've built, you're in this liminal space. You don't quite know who you are, and you're gathering new information. You have to walk in faith and with a little bit of fear and feeling like you don't exactly know where things are going. And so the spiritual path is a path of surrender. And that's a complete, 180 from the controlling, striving, achieving feeling of the 3D earth identity. So feel free to comment below how this is resonating for you. If you've gone through a spiritual awakening, if this describes it in any way, or if you want to describe how it went for you. I've been on this journey for about 7 years, and it began when I started meditating because I had horrible chronic pain, and I was told that that would be good for my fibromyalgia. And it really just opened me up and connected me to my mind space, and starting to realize that my mind was so anxious and so disconnected from my body, and I'd never had any spirituality. And I eventually became more and more curious as I learned about Buddhist teachings about non-attachment and source consciousness and delusion, and how we're attached to our delusions. And I had so many questions, and I kept doing retreats and seeking, and I eventually did spirit guide meditations and started to feel that I could actually start communicating with my guides by asking them questions. So trying to figure out deeper questions that aren't just coming from conditioning here on earth, of who you are and why you chose this life. And that's the tender, gooey, emotional good spot that's like, ooh, like, who actually am I and why am I here? Like, what did I come here to do? And usually part of the awakening is a little sad, because it's like, well, I've been wasting my time, or I've been telling myself I'm so limited, or I've been so anxious, I've had so much shame and self-doubt. And really, I'm just a part of source consciousness here to share this frequency, and I'm a soul that's here to learn. So I recently had a situation like this come up again, because I feel like when we get off track, in my mind, this has been my experience, spirit will come back and, whoop us in the ass a little bit to just remind us, are you cycling back into that 3D reality? If you've been committed to your soul mission, if you've been on this spiritual path, and we can kind of get then bogged down back into earth energy, there's reminders of, to me, it comes through with pain. I feel like that's been, it must be a contract I signed, but it's like my body will things will get out of whack, and I'll end up having disproportionate pain responses to things. And I'll be a little bit like out of commission, and it will take me out of the drive I was having. So even though I have a spiritual path, I also have a spiritual business. So sometimes the businessy part of it is taking me down paths. So I'll just share this as an example. So today I was on a walk, and my eyes been having a little trouble healing after surgery, just extra inflammation than my first surgery on my other eye had. So I've just been trying to be with it, be patient. But I went on a walk today, and I realized that Spirit was trying to get my attention. Spirit was telling me that you said you're going to surrender, but you're really just on this hamster wheel again of achievement, and you haven't been listening. And you said you'd surrender. You haven't been listening. And so I wanted to connect with that and say, okay, I think you're right. What has been like, what should I do? Where should I go? And the message I was getting was that I'm to fill my office with the Holy Spirit, with love and with peace and presence. And really, it's like I'm taking myself out of the equation. It's like I'm not there. I'm just there to channel that energy for whoever comes in that space. And with my children, I meant to be completely one with their presence when I'm with them. So it's a lot of it's about the ego, the self that wants to get on my phone, the self that wants to get something done. It's like a lot of it was about the self disappearing. So I was asking my guides, what is it that you would ask me to do? And all I heard was that it was giving everyone around me blessings. So it was like blessing my eye doctor. The backstory is I'd had cataract surgery on both eyes. So blessing everyone in his medical staff who would just like help me and given me a checkup appointment, blessing my husband, blessing everyone at his work, blessing my children, blessing everyone at the preschool, blessing my office, blessing anyone that would come through there, and thinking less about how I'm going to pay the rent on my office and kind of the business budget things, and more the energy of blessing the presence of people around me, and sharing a frequency of loving energy and a frequency of guiding them to their spiritual path. And really the message, the visual of all of these is that it's like I disappeared into this source love. And so my eye having this pain, and so I can't just be on my phone and my computer, I've had to do lots of rest. It's like I finally surrendered and realized, I was like, okay, God, like what would you have me do? Where would you have me go? And I got this big kind of source of information, which was that like you really haven't been listening at all. You have been striving and you have been in your own hamster wheel. And we've been asking you and we've been reminding you. And it's like a very sobering lesson. So I think whenever things aren't going well, for me, it shows up as pain. For other people, it shows up as other like roadblocks or obstacles. I think we're being asked to listen and being redirected. Are we really doing this for ourselves? Or are we doing all of our behaviors and actions and our drive to bring our frequency and our gifts forward? And if it's driven by ego and this earth identity, it's always going to be more limited and it's going to keep us stuck. And so we can live our lives that way. It's fine. But there's so much soul evolution that can happen if we're willing to listen and keep asking the big questions of why is my soul here? What was I here to do? How can I evolve my soul as much as possible while I'm here? And I find that every time I have one of these times where I come back around and get recalibrated on my spiritual path, the lesson, the demand is a little bit greater. It's like you can handle more of this. So one other example is I've been shifting away from this, how is this going to work? How am I going to make this happen? So for instance, I pay rent on an office space and I absolutely love it. But I would like to move to the room next door that's slightly bigger, so the rent is more, because it just has a really beautiful, harmonious space. It's like a big square office with two big corner windows, and mine is in the middle of two other offices. So it's a middle office, and it has like a big chunk cut out of the room, like just the way the office was arranged for the door. So moving next door to this big square office with two big windows, it wouldn't be as loud. It would be just like more harmonious, and the rent is higher. And so I knew this office has been available because it's right next to me for a long time and nobody's taken it. And so I walked in there the other day and I was like, and I had just had a session where the wall I share with the hairdresser was quite loud. So I was like, I emailed the property manager, and it's like I was acting on spirit. And I was like, I would love the room next to me. My wall's very loud with the one I share with the hairdresser. And this room is about $250 more in rent. And so she said, well, what's your budget? And I just, her saying that, I said like, well, I could probably go up like $110 or like, but I'd love to keep paying around my rent. And so she said, let me see what I can do. And so I found myself stressing a little bit, especially with my eye pain and what's been going on with me. It's like, I've been a little bit out of commission. So who am I to take up this bigger office space right now in a place that has higher rent? And so I've been seeing it through this limited in pain, scarcity, how's this going to work, earth perspective, this earth self that's like trying to achieve as a business person, trying to like prove my worth to myself. And instead, that was the message I got today, was like, I could see this new office and I was like, it was like, are you going to bless it with loving spirit? Are you going to make it a healing space? And I thought, I'm just going to leave it up to the how. She knows, the property manager knows I want it. She has to talk to the owner. She said she's going to try to get me close to my budget. And I haven't, it was over the weekend. So I'm waiting to hear back. Now it's the week. But I thought, I just need to approach things. The message I'm getting is approaching them from this release, this surrender, that it will happen for you. It will flow and it will all come together when it's actually serving not just you. Yes, it's serving your soul purpose, but not when you're doing it. I'll speak from personal experience, not when I'm doing it out of striving, drive. I don't want to say greediness, but kind of like gimme, gimme, gimme. And instead it's like, well, what does this serve? And really I just want a the most beautiful space possible to do soulful work for me and for other people, and to have people gather in the way I want. So I want a room that has room for sound bowls and for people to lie down and come receive group angelic Reiki. So I could even see like 4 people lying in this space and um, having kind of group meditation or journeying or angelic Reiki things. And so it's like I was getting these visions. So I'll update you guys next week if I got that office, or I'm going to change. But the lesson I'm getting right now so strongly is taking the me out of it, and it's bringing the presence into it and the energy you're bringing into it. So maybe you can reflect if there's anything that's not going quote unquote right for you right now, anything that feels off track, what that pause is bringing to you. And I am really sorry if you're going through anything super difficult and have health challenges. It really, really sucks. I feel like, unfortunately, Spirit uses some of these tools to reroute us, because otherwise we're a little bit on autopilot. And it's so easy to get sucked back into the earth 3D spinning energy of our earth identity. And just a final reflection I have for this, with that office space, I thought, there's part of my earth identity that's trying to prove myself. It's like, I've had chronic pain and then I started this business 3 years ago. It's like kind of like I have to start from scratch. How much can I afford? How much, how, like, kind of how worthy of am I of a beautiful space? And it's like, really, there's like, I feel like sometimes the spiritual path is giving all of that like a lobotomy. And it's like, you bring in your soul energy and you ask the universe to help you share that. And that's all you really can do. And the spirit will give you the platform available to you at that time to appropriately share your energy and share your gifts. But I find that when we're operating from too much of a selfish drive place, I get rerouted. I tend to have obstacles. Maybe that's just how spirit kind of like chastises me. But it's like, if you are ready to share your soul gifts and you want a platform to do that, all we need to do is take aligned action, ask the universe, ask other people, act on it. So all of this aligned action, you need to put that energy out there to let the universe know what you want, but check it to see, is this bigger office just for me to then have to make more money to then pay for this office to then make more money? It's like, no, I want a bigger platform. I want a bigger space. I want to be able to do the things I want to do from my soul. And that feels joyful to do this healing energy without limitations on the space. And so I'm going to ask the universe for that. And so I find that there's a lot of service and giving, because you're a beautiful, beautiful soul who came here just is in this vessel of a body as source consciousness to share your gifts with the world. And it's like so beautiful. And then it's so funny how we cap ourselves and we put this cute, like funny little like blocked identity on it. And then when you're here to share those gifts and you remember those gifts and you come back in flow with those gifts, it feels like we're learning, but we're really just coming back into connection with them. And they're really here to benefit other people here on earth. So I think that if you're a soul listening to this podcast and you've gotten this far and it's resonating with you, I don't think that we're here to serve ourselves. And I think that's really interesting because I think when we serve ourselves, we're serving the wounding that tells us we're not enough to prove that we're worth it. And that is, so if we're here to serve ourselves, we're actually just in that earth identity that needs that validation and love. And when we're actually here to share our gifts with others, we're just acting from that joy and that sharing of the source frequency that you have to share. And obviously, I want you to be handsomely compensated for that. And I want you to earn a beautiful living in whatever, currency or energetic exchange you want for that. But I think that spirit is always trying to recalibrate us when we're on this path. Okay, thank you for listening. And I do have a spirit guide meditation up on YouTube and Spotify to complement these episodes as they go up, and I'll have more meditations up. Thank you so much for listening. Feel free to comment and like and subscribe to be able to find out when I drop these episodes each week on Thursday. And I'm Suzanne. I'm a Reiki master and chakra practitioner in Texas, and I work with people virtually and in person. Thank you so much for being here. I'm sending you so much love.